set of modern APIs, you can, before you send the payment. And another of the features that you can get from this bilateral transfer is that you can start tracking the payments. You can know exactly where the payment is going to be at any point in time. So let's look at a bit of a demo. Let's make this a little bigger. In this example, let's say we have Annette. Let's say that she is still in the United States and sending money to Brazil. So let's configure this. United States has USD dollars. She is going to be sending through Bank of America, just as an example. And let's say that Bank of America is going to charge them $1 as a fee for processing the payment. So in the other side, her mom, Rosa, is living in Brazil. So let's configure this to say Brazil. Let's change this to Reais, BRL. Just as an example, let's say Topazio, just as an example. Topazio will be charging 2 reais for processing the payments into Brazil. Okay, so let's launch the demo. Arthur, please let me know if there's any questions there written in the comments, please.
Yep, I'll keep you posted for sure. And Carlos has mentioned that he wants to take a look at SME payments as well a bit later. So.
Okay, fantastic. Let's start the demo. So Annette, she's banking with Bank of America. She has a mobile app and she wants to send money to Brazil. Bank of America has the mobile app where she can enter the information and the amount that she wants to send. So let's say she wants to send 7,000 reais using RippleNet. From her mobile phone, she's going to select the contacts. In this case, it's going to be her mom, Rosa. So let's go to next. Okay. At this point, Bank of America is going to be receiving the information of Annette and Rosa. So they're going to go into their standard validation, which is like making sure that the data is correct, making sure that the AML checks are in order, right? So the first step that we're going to have when connecting the transfer between the two entities that are within RippleNet is going to be a request for quote. So the request for quote is important because Annette wants to know exactly how much money she's going to be sending, how much is going to cost her to send those 7,000 reais to her mom in Brazil. So the first step for Bank of America initiates is a request for quote. Okay. When that API gets kicked in, Annette is going to be able to see a full breakdown of all the fees and the rates for that payment. In this scenario, it's going to be 1,242, the equivalent to send those 7,000 reais. And here we can also see the breakdown of how much Bank of America is going to charge them. We said it was going to be $1, and then we said that the receiving fees from Topazio is going to be 2 reais. So Annette can confirm and say, yes, I'm okay with that amount. Let's go ahead with the payment. So from the user experience, Annette sees that her payment has been sent. So now looking a little bit into what's actually happening between the transfer, between the connection of Bank of America and Topazio, we can see that there's 2 boxes here. The top box is going to be where the data is going to be transferred between the 2 financial institutions. We're going to be able to validate all the information before they actually move the funds. Okay. In the next step, Bank of America sends all the information regarding the payment to Topazio so that they can do their validation and their AML sanction screening as well. So within that API is going to travel all the information about the name of Annette, perhaps her address, the name of Rosa, where her banking is, her bank account, perhaps an address as well. In this step, if Topazio needs additional information for compliance reasons, they can, in real time, ask the financial institution, the sender, in this example, Bank of America, to add the rest of the information that Topazio needs to process the payment. So once Topazio validates that information, they are going to lock the payment, which means that the terms of the payment in this step are going to be closed because both financial institutions have validated the information and they're okay with the data. So now we're ready to move to the next layer, which is going to be updating the ledgers. Okay, so once Topazio locked the payment, that means that it had notified Bank of America that we are ready to move the funds. Bank of America can initiate that movement of funds by an API called settle payment. So what that means is that within the software of RippleNet, we have, as part of the design, we have some ledgers within the software. So here we can take a little peek of how this looks. This is a simulation. In the left hand corner, we have an example of how the core ledger of Bank of America may look like. Here we have a customer account. We have how much we're going to be debiting a net. We said it was going to be $1,242.27. We've also said that Bank of America was going to charge them $1 for processing the payment. And here we have the effects. Within the software, we can see the ledgers. We can see sub-accounts within these ledgers. We have a transactional account, a hold account, and a treasury. A transactional is going to be reflecting the real funds from Bank of America that they're going to be using to make the payments into Brazil. Then we have a hold account, which temporarily is going to hold the amount that we are processing so that we don't use it in another payment. And then we have a treasury balance that's going to allow us to see what's our balance that we hold with the entity in Brazil. Okay. So next step, before these ledgers move, we have a validator. So here, a validator is another element of blockchain that we're using. And what the function is to make sure that the information hasn't been modified, that it hasn't been tampered, that no one is trying to modify that information, right, before we move the payment. So this can be used as another layer of security. So once the validation confirms that all the information has been the same, that nothing has changed, then both ledgers are going to be updated in a simultaneous manner. So this is going to help us to avoid those scenarios where, let's say, in Bank of America, the payment was sent and then the status is going to be completed, while in Topazio's side, the payment is going to say that it's still pending. So that's why we have a validator that makes sure that there's enough liquidity, that the information hasn't been tampered. And once we have that, it instructs both ledgers to update at the same time. Let's take a little look at how the ledgers now look in this step after the ledgers have moved. So remember, in the hold account, we had the amount that we were processing, so it's not there anymore. It has been debited from the account. We have a negative here. And the other ledger at the other side has also been updated to have the amount of reais that we want to process. As the next step, now that the funds are available on Topazio's side, those funds are going to be updated within Topazio's core and appear in an account that's going to be dedicated for the end beneficiary. So at this point, Topazio is going to check if an account within Topazio, then they will credit it within the bank themselves. But if Rosa had, let's say, another bank, just as an example, Itaú, then Topazio through the domestic rails can send the payment to Rosa. And of course, we went step by step, but just remember that this takes seconds. The idea would be that every step is going to be automatic. And finally, Topazio notifies Bank of America that the payment has been credited so that Bank of America can also notify Annette about the payment. So both users in these scenarios are going to be updated with a notification that the payment has been completed.